A sweep 3 in KC. Show how fun baseball can be. That's next on Curveballs and Changeups, a baseball podcast straight out of Sacramento. I'm Steve Harmon, and this is a podcast for A's fans and baseball fans in general. I played the game, once hit a Grand Slam home run in an over 30 baseball league. I covered the Bash Brothers A's as a sports writer in the 1980s and early 90s. I've been a baseball fan since 1967 when the kid down the block introduced me and my brothers to the game. And my first major league game was at the Oakland Coliseum in 1969. A note, I'm doing separate episodes for the A's and Giants now. You can listen to both wherever you can find podcasts. Also, at the end of my wrap, I open a new segment on my show, Harmon the Critic. My first shot at this will take a hard look at the TV play-by-play broadcaster for the A's, Jenny Cavnar. This one isn't for the faint-hearted. All right, the A's win a tight one today, Sunday, 3-2, to cap a 3-game sweep on the road over the Kansas City Royals. It follows a 4-0 win Saturday and 6-4 win on Friday, giving them 6 wins in their last 10 games. Would have been nice to make a little dent with this mini streak, but the Houston Astros have won 5 straight, and Seattle and Texas both won twice over the weekend too. So the A's are still 15 games under 500 and remain 13 games out in last place. Though they did gain 3 games on the 4th place Angels over the last 3 days and are 5.5 games behind them. Little steps. And let me pose a caveat. I still believe you have to watch this team with patience and with very low expectations. That way you can enjoy the small successes. It's a trick. You learn it over years of watching baseball. Amazingly, the A's small turnaround can be attributed almost entirely to the pitching staff. They still have the second worst ERA in the major leagues at 5.48. Starters still have a 5.13 ERA, and relievers are at 6.04. But in those last 10 games where they've won 6, the A's pitching has been one of the best in the majors. Really, they have a 3.25 ERA over that span, and the key is their whip. There just hasn't been much traffic. The team whip, that's walks and hits per inning, in the last 10 games is only 1.17. That is up there. That is very good. And only 28 walks in 88 and 2/3 innings. By the way, they've had 81 strikeouts in that time. So their whip of 1.05 on this most recent 6-game road trip was 5th best in the major leagues over the last week. Starters have more than held up their end. They have a 2.91 ERA in the last 10 games, with 9 starts going at least 5 innings, 4 of 6 innings or more. Still need to push them more, though. I thought Jeffrey Springs, for example, could have gone 1 more inning today, taken out after only 88 pitches through 6 innings. Or I think it was 89 pitches. The bullpen in this 10-game stretch has been okay, a 3.82 ERA over 33 innings. Much better than before, though, for sure. Mason Miller showed up today with a dominant 9th inning for his 14th save. But 2 days earlier, he made a 6-1 lead far too interesting when he gave up 3 runs in the 9th inning. He still has a way to go before his ERA starts looking normal. It's at 5.33 right now. But he looked good. He looked confident today. He looked like he was on a mission. And the A's hitting in June is getting into a groove. They've had the 3rd most hits in the major leagues in the month with 120, 3rd most doubles with 29. They've got their running game going. Their 13 stolen bases this month is tied for 4th most in the major leagues. So things are turning around just a bit. There were big home runs from newly arrived veteran catcher Austin Wynns. He got 2 in the KC series. He is the ultimate backup catcher. He's never had more than 162 at-bats in a year. That was with the Giants in 2022. Drafted out of Fresno State in 2013, Wynns didn't get to the majors till 2018, a 27-year-old rookie. Now he's 34, a lifetime .239 hitter, his focus always being solid for the pitching staff. But this year he's hitting .346 in 52 at-bats, with more home runs in a season now, that's 5, than he's ever had. And we're not even halfway through the season. The go-ahead 9th inning blast Sunday came from the other side of the spectrum on experiences, from rookie Nick Kurtz. his first since returning from the IL, 6 on the season. The KC series was something of a showdown between him and Kansas City's Joe Caglione, the 4th and 6th picks from the 2024 Major League Baseball draft. Kurtz won that first standoff. Max Muncy has come back with firepower since his return from the minor leagues on June 4th, hitting 4 home runs in just 41 at-bats in that time, leading the team with 11 RBIs, and playing a pretty good, solid third base. Lawrence Butler hit a home run off a lefty in the middle game of the series on a 3-0 count, a rare feat. More players should try that, especially against a tough matchup. I think that takes a lot of, not just brains, but a good approach against lefties who are typically tough on Lawrence Butler. Now he's got 10 home runs, along with his major league leading 23 doubles and 11 stolen bases. He had another one today that was taken away on a bad call that the A's were unable to challenge because they didn't get the challenge in time. That was a little bit of a controversy. And, of course, let's not forget A's shortstop phenom Jacob Wilson, who's hitting .368, 75 games into his rookie season. He is for real, folks. Here's how I described him on Twitter after yet another multi-hit game against the Royals Saturday. Jacob Wilson plays with a baseball diamond like it's his own fiefdom. It is vast, and he owns it. There's a whole lot of wee Willie Keeler to his game. For those who are unindoctrinated to that name, he is the guy who said, hit it where it ain't. And that's what Jacob Wilson does. And pesky infielder Luis Arias had a home run in the series opener. I was a little puzzled that A's manager Mark Kotsay pinch hit Tyler Soderstrom for Arias late in the Sunday finale. I mean, yes, left-handed power, but Arias has his own power, and he's a good glove man. So, of course, Urias's defensive replacement, Max Schumann, normally sure-handed, normally a top-flight defender, drops what should have been an easy pop-up to start the 9th inning with Mason Miller on the mound. The official score called it a hit incredibly. I mean, that ball, I guess I could see that you could call it a sun hit. That sun in Kansas City in right field is just absolutely impossible. You saw Lawrence Butler struggling with it all weekend long. So, but it did look like Max Schumann took his eye off the ball and just kind of casually went for it and dropped it. And, of course, that made me worry that might start a whole cascade of terrible things we've come to expect, even with Miller out there. But Miller pitched brilliantly through that leadoff quote hit, striking out the next hitter on a nasty slider, getting an easy first pitch fly out from the rookie Caglione, and then another wipeout slider for his second strikeout to end the game and cap off the series sweep. Key to the game and really to the series was that the bullpen did its job, not just Mason Miller. Tyler Ferguson, who has had such a rough time over the last month, turned in 3 scoreless innings over 2 outings over the weekend, getting a big strikeout with a go-ahead run on in the 7th inning today, and then striking out the dangerous Bobby Witt to start the 8th inning, getting through the 8th unscathed. That was key. To keep this bullpen effective, though, as I've been saying, Kotsay has got to lean more on his starters, space out his bullpen exposure. Seemed like he worked on it pretty well this last week. The A's now come home to hot Sacramento to host the Astros for a 4-game series. The Astros, of course, are coming off a 5-game winning streak, so something will have to give there. It'll be near triple digits all week, but all 4 games will be night games, thankfully. And with that, of course, come the Delta breezes. Time for the A's hitters to take advantage, like visiting teams have. Opposing teams have out-homered the A's in West Sac 60-37. That's got to change, especially given the fact that the A's have so much power, and they do have their power swing going. The batting average between the two teams, between the A's and the opposing teams, isn't that much different. Opponents have hit .277 against A's pitching. A's are hitting .268 at home. So it is just the power, really, that matters, that has made the difference. For the series with the Astros, the first good thing to know, the A's won't have to face the big righty Hunter Brown, who's 8-3 with a 1.88 ERA. Now, I know some A's fans are actually dreaming big. If they can sweep Houston, they'll put themselves right into the mix of the West Division race. They would be 9 games out with momentum and belief. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's look at the matchups and proceed one game at a time. And I made a comment on a show that I appeared on, the Locked On A's show, and I made the comment that I felt like the A's should should focus on winning 2 of every 4 games. Don't set the goals too high. Make them achievable, and maybe you can get it done. So here are the matchups. Game 1 on Monday, and then let me backtrack a sec. Booney, the host of Locked On A's, was very gracious to have me on. I had a great time on it. I hope you all can take a look at it on YouTube. And we had a really great discussion over the A's just before the Kansas City series started. All right, so game 1 on Monday. That's today's Sunday, so that's tomorrow. But actually, you might be hearing this on Monday. Lance McCullers making his return after missing nearly 3 years. He's been out. This year, in his return, he has started out rocky. 4.91 ERA in 29 1/3 innings. He was roughed up by the Chicago White Sox in his last start, 4 earned runs in 5 innings, but had gone 6 scoreless against the Pirates in his previous start. So there is some development of his, building up his arm strength still going on, but he is not to be taken for granted. Mitch Spence gets the call on Monday. He had a real nice outing in his last start, going 5 scoreless, so the A's lost 2-1 in extra innings to the Angels that day. He only was given 75-pitch leash and was taken out in his last start. Hopefully he'll have a longer leash on Monday, and they'll be able to stay with him longer. Tuesday, the Houston Astros will go with Ryan Gusto, who's 4-3 with a 4.56 ERA. He's been building his length all season, finally able to get through 6 innings in his last start. Had a nice April, went 3-1 with a 3.24 ERA. Roughed up in May, 0-1 with an 8.25 ERA in 12 innings over 3 starts and a couple of relief outings. And 2 starts in June has been kind of yes and no. 1-1 with a 4.35, including his last start where he limited the White Sox to 2 earned runs in 6 innings. So he's got a little momentum in his game. He does have a 1.60 whip, so the A's offense may have opportunities. They need to show patience. J.P. Sears will be going up against Gusto on Tuesday. His record, not as good as I think he really is. He's 5-5 with a 5.08. He had his best start in a long time in his last outing, striking out 9 in 5 1/3 innings, giving up only 2 runs on 4 hits, no walks, left with a 3-0 lead, but watched as the bullpen gave up a 6-run 6th inning and a 6-5 loss. That was another move by Kotsay that backfired. He needs to let Sears go as long as he's effective. None of this stuff of, well, we want you to get off that mound feeling pretty good about yourself. No, let him go. But, Kotsay does have a point in having a little bit of wariness over Sears' last 6 starts, including this last good one. He's had an ERA of just under 9.00, giving up 27 earned runs in 27 2/3 innings. One of his worst starts came against the Astros 3 weeks ago. 9 earned runs on 10 hits in 3 1/3 innings, gave up 3 home runs, including 2 to Jose Altuve and 1 to Jeremy Pena. So the Astros will feel like they have the advantage over him, but Sears will have the motivation to do better. And it'll be a matchup of aces on Wednesday. Framber Valdez brings in a 7-4 and 3.10 ERA. He's coming off of May where he went 4-1 and with a 2.36 ERA. His last 7 starts, he's gone 6-0 with a 2.02 ERA. That's only 33 hits in 49 innings, 59 strikeouts. Just a consistent veteran. Lifetime 75 wins and a lifetime winning percentage of .625, which is nothing to sneeze at in this day and age of non-decisions. He's 31 years old. So he still has a good career to have, and he might, push close to 150 by the time he's done, which would be one of the top level winners of his era. All right, and he's up against Luis Severino, who finally won his second game of the season this last weekend. He has a 2-6 record with a 4.47 ERA. Had his best start in a while in Kansas City, going 7 1/3 innings, just 1 run on 6 hits. His 2 previous starts, he had given up 14 earned runs in 11 1/3 innings. Of course, those were home starts. He's had it rough in West Sac. He's 0-6 with a 7.10 ERA in 9 starts, compared to 2-0 on the road with a 0.93 ERA in 6 starts. I mean, that ERA in itself shows that he's had tough luck getting the win on the road. But at home, he's got to figure it out. He's got to get a little luck. Hopefully fly balls don't get blown over the fence. Or I remember the last game he had against Minnesota, a fly ball to left field in the first inning that should have been caught and was just fell behind the left fielder at the wall. And that's partly due to the crazy winds out there. The A's are still trying to figure out their home confines and how to play the winds there. And the Thursday finale, it'll match up a couple of rookies. Colton Gordon, who's 2-1 with a 4.70. A couple of left-handed rookies, actually. Gordon, he's a 26-year-old rookie lefty. Made his debut in mid-May. He's given up 6 home runs in 30 2/3 innings. But he's settled down over his last 2 starts. Only 3 earned runs in his last 11 innings, though he did give up 2 home runs out of those 3 earned runs. And he'll be up against Jacob Lopez, who won his first game this year. He's 1-4 with a 4.80 ERA, coming off a real nice outing against Kansas City, striking out 9 and 6 scoreless innings, giving up just 3 hits and just 1 walk. He had another similar start against the Phillies back on May 23rd when he struck out 8 and 7 innings, throwing 3-hit ball, allowing just 1 run, but he took the loss in that one. That was in the midst of the A's 11-game losing streak. His next 2 starts went the other way, 6 innings, 12 earned runs. But he has now thrown 10 innings without an earned run. And remember, I always bring this up because I'm a San Francisco State alum myself. He's the lefty who once pitched in a single game for San Francisco State University before transferring to the College of the Canyons, where he got drafted by the San Francisco Giants, later traded to the Tampa Bay Rays before he came to the A's. Okay, those are the matchups for the upcoming series of the Astros. Looking forward to it. Now, for my first segment of Harmon the Critic. And straight up, I have to say that Jenny Cavnar, I mean, she's a nice person. You can tell, very nice person. And she's very personable. And she's the A's play-by-play broadcaster on TV. She may be the worst I've ever seen. And I consider myself to have an especially good ear when it comes to baseball broadcasts. I've been listening to and watching baseball on the radio and TV since 1969. I went to school to become a play-by-play man. I did a lot of play-by-play myself in college. Didn't crack it. It's a difficult, demanding job, and there are very limited seats to fill. So I know how tough it is. For some, though, this may seem a little rough, and some may accuse me of opposing women in the broadcast booth. Some may go as far as calling me a misogynist. That would be unfair, and I do this with full sensitivity to the idea that women have to overcome double standards everywhere, have to do more and better than men just to get into the same room as them in all walks of life. I have voted for a woman for president twice, only to watch painfully as this nation remains unable to cross that threshold of electing a woman to the White House. My only child is a daughter, and I support her in everything she does. My wife is a lawyer, and I have supported her in everything she does. I also have heard some excellent women in baseball broadcasting. The Yankees and Orioles are 2 that I can think of off the top of my head. Melanie Newman has done play-by-play for the Orioles since 2020. After she worked 5 years in the bushes, 5 years of minor league play-by-play before she made it to the Orioles. Susan Waldman has done color commentating for the Yankees since 2004, a true trailblazer who has such a great feel for the history and the nuances of the game and of the Yankees in particular. I always enjoy listening to them, and I would also recommend a woman to replace Cavnar, Jessica Kleinschmidt. She is fantastic on the A's cast. She does pregame and postgame analysis for the A's, and her analysis is spot on. She knows the game, has the language. I think the A's should be developing her to replace Cavnar. So it goes without saying that I broach this with extreme sensitivity, and I do not align myself with people who call her a DEI hire. I hate the politics that surround that term. I'm just speaking out because of the importance of a play-by-play broadcaster in a baseball fan's life. I mean, you're watching this game, you're following your team, you have to feel comfortable and good about the person who is presenting that game to you. So, to start, it's not just that Cavnar is boring. That's what a lot of people say about her. It's that she doesn't recognize the drama of a moment and is incapable of excitement. She kills a thrilling moment every time with her flat, unemotional, poorly described call. I would surmise that she never listened to a baseball broadcast in her life before she became a professional. She just doesn't use language associated with a game that you would if you spent any time listening to baseball on the radio or on TV. It turns out I'm not the only one to find myself squirming with anguish having to listen to her during A's games. There's a whole online community that has taken to recording her calls, spoofing her calls. Some say that she broadcasts the way an AI-generated play-by-play would sound like. Like AI, Cavnar doesn't get the dialect, she doesn't get the nuance or the appropriate energy, passion, or excitement of the game. She did play-by-play for Rockies for 5 years, and Rockies fans who had her for those 5 years said they warned us about her. They said she was great for pre- and post-game hosting of shows. In fact, I've always felt she sounds more like somebody who would host a show on ESPN. But the fans are all over the internet saying, quote, I just want to mute the TV anytime she was doing play-by-play. I've seen interviews with her taking on her critics, who she calls trolls, says that they just can't stand a pioneer in a field historically dominated by men. But that's the last refuge of a person who fails to look in the mirror. All right, so I'm going to just zoom in on her calls and show you, just by the words that she used, what I'm talking about. So just as recently as today, her home run call on Nick Kurtz was just devoid of any understanding of what was happening as the ball sailed way over the fence. Only when it was 50 feet into the stands did she seem to realize it was a home run. But even then, there was no urgency to the call. The A's had just taken a 3-2 lead in the ninth inning. We're on the verge of taking a lead into the bottom of the ninth inning with a chance to sweep a series. There was none of that. Not only that, but her language is tortured, spoken in 100% passive voice, if not sometimes backwards. Prepositions are used wrongly. Everything is, he will catch the ball will be caught, Lawrence Butler will reach the base. One such sentence, 275 is the batting average, second in terms of driving in runs. What the heck? Let me give you just a few of her calls. 1. Here's her call of a Max Muncy home run. Quote, nice swing for Max Muncy, and he's going to quickly get the ball out of the yard. Muncy with a homer. I mean, what kind of home run call is that? Here's one where there's a pop fly into shallow right field. Lawrence Butler obviously fighting a tough sun, and he has to race in to make a staggering catch as he blocks the sun with his glove on the run. Okay, so that's me. Here's how she called it. In the air, popped up, and it'll be playable for Lawrence Butler coming in. He does have to shade it and does make the catch at the last second. I'm sorry, that's just, you're not describing the call at all. You have no urgency or excitement to the play. That was a scary play. You saw the pitcher afterwards. I forget who it was now. It was Jacob Lopez. How he had to take a deep breath after that because it was not a sure thing. All right, here she is on a Jacob Wilson single to right field, sending Butler to third. Here's a ground ball. Lawrence will have an opportunity to keep moving as this ball gets past the second baseman in Schneider, and into third is Butler. A hit for Jacob Wilson, first and third for Lawrence. What? Okay, here's when Jacob Wilson caught a line drive. That's going to be in the glove of Jacob Wilson. Nice leap from the shortstop position, perfectly up the middle to create the out. I have never heard of a play being made called creating an out. I'm sorry. All right, here's the fifth one. And here it may be her all-time worst call. Now, before I do this one, I had another one. I had written the notes down. I don't know where it is, but there was a call when Denzel Clark leaped into the wall. Okay, this is after he had made another amazing catch against the wall, running into the wall, and he actually made the catch. This one was a play in which Clark ran into the wall and never caught the ball. It jarred loose immediately, but the way she made the call was if you were blind, you thought that he would have made the catch, and the A's had won the World Series. So, and she was out of control. But I don't have the notes on that, unfortunately. But here is what may be her all-time worst call, the one that is parodied all over the internet. It happened earlier this year in late April. Quote, Rooker at second, Bleday at first. That's in the air towards right field. By now, it's over the right fielder's head, and it was a bomb. So here she is. That's in the air towards right field, and McKenna leaps up to grab it. The ball had already hit the wall, and he's chased it down, and he's about to make the throw. But she's saying, and McKenna leaps up to grab it. Over his head it goes, and coming in home. And how about we have an even-up game? She doesn't mention who scores. She doesn't mention that both Rooker and Bleday have scored. She doesn't say that the throw came into the plate and was late. She just says, over his head it goes and coming in home, period. And how about we have an even-up game? It's hard to convey the lack of emotion or the wrong inflection. You just have to listen to her, really, to get it. And sadly, you do have to listen to her. It makes watching the A's games even more difficult than it already is as they struggle through their growing pains. And I will continue to monitor her broadcasts. I would love it if she improved. I would do a whole podcast dedicated to it, but I am not holding my breath. Okay, that's all I have for today. Thank you for tuning in to Sacramento's Curveballs and Changeups with me, your host, Steve Harmon. You can find Sacramento's best baseball podcast on Apple Tunes, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, YouTube, Odyssey, the podcast app, and wherever else you can listen to podcasts. Please hit the subscribe button so you can get notified when my next podcast is up. I'm also on Twitter, or what some call X, and Threads, and post my episodes there. If you see it there, please retweet or repost and tell your friends. Would be great to grow our baseball-loving community. Okay, until next time, lay off the slider low and away.